Hello, my name is Viktor.
Hi, I'm Denis, and it's been 10 years of 1991, and we are basically looking back at our successes, failures, and moments we've been through over the past decade.
Worth mentioning that 2016 was almost right after the revolution of dignity, and the tech sector of Ukraine was very much emerging. We barely had 3G connection, let alone venture capital or proper startup ecosystem. We decided to establish 1991 Open Data Incubator.
1991 was fighting hard for the first open data policy in Ukraine that effectively opened all government data to the public and created a market later assessed as 0.5% of Ukrainian GDP.
Essentially, the idea was to take government-owned data, open it in the form of APIs, and let the developers and tech specialists to use that data to create services for the public, for the government, to make government more transparent, to be more accountable, to make citizens more involved into how government works. And a lot of great startups came out of those programs. Many of those became multi-million dollar businesses, and they work up to this day. The years came by, and what we called 1991 Open Data Incubator required a dedicated space, and we thought it would be nice to have a space of our own where startups could have collaborated, where we could have had a proper event agenda, and so we established what we called 1991 Civic Tech Center.
Yeah, that was a while ago, and actually that was a hotspot in Kiev for a few years, and basically brought together government and civic activists, startups, and also a lot of people from financial community as well. And somehow an interesting intersection where the young market, tech startups in Ukraine, was able to talk directly to the government institutions, suggest their services, and that's where a few interesting partnerships happened.
And then in 2019, after we've had like 400 plus events and 300 residents over the 2 years, we had to shut down for technical reasons, and in a few months COVID hit, and so Civic Tech Center essentially never reopened, but the Civic Tech legacy, I believe, still lives in the heart of the Ukrainian tech ecosystem.
So 2019, Ukraine has new president, Zelensky, and new president says that Mariupol is strategic priority. Surprisingly, we both are from Mariupol.
That's
born
right.
in Mariupol, raised in Kiev, and it becomes a destination.
And Mariupol, it was just a few dozen kilometers away from the front line at the moment, and so the establishment of 1991 Mariupol, when we opened 1991 Mariupol, and when the huge economic forum took place in Mariupol, this was a moment of belief in the future, and that the east of Ukraine would be finally reintegrated, started with Mariupol and going east.
So essentially, our model was very simple. We raised some money from EIB, renovated central library together with a local council, put a very qualified and nice team in there. And 1991 Mariupol has become the startup development center and to go to place for many young entrepreneurs.
And of course, we ran acceleration programs and event agenda. At some point, we held a big conference that was taking place during COVID. It was like half virtual conference between Kiev and Mariupol, where a lot of government officials took place, and where the mayor of Mariupol himself committed $500,000 to co-invest into the startups that were born and raised in Mariupol. And that was right before the full-scale invasion broke out.
Yeah, unfortunately 2022, because a full-scale invasion took the toll. So one day, hopefully, there will be a big revival, because Eastern Ukraine matters. A lot of entrepreneurial spirit was there, and it should be put back in there.
This is the moment when 1991 Accelerator evolved out of everything that we have done in the previous years. And as the full-scale war broke out, at the same time, IT and tech sector has been maturing for the past decade. And so we understood that we have to do something bigger than just incubation programs for individual entrepreneurs, but rather take businesses, start working with them on a global scale, help them become international and global companies to grow globally and attract international investors' attention.
And that was probably, if not the only, but one of the few startup programs that carried on and never stopped, and reflected the spirit of that year, where resilience meant basically more than anything else.
And we started working with IDP entrepreneurs who both were in Ukraine and abroad, and created this whole community of what we now call the new Ukrainian diaspora. This whole new diaspora of Ukrainian entrepreneurs who just want to build global companies and contribute back to economic resilience of Ukraine.
It seems like UK has always been a great partner for Ukraine, and the United Kingdom supported all of the activities, or at least a large part of them, in different consortia and other things. So 1991 was not something that was invisible for FCDO and different partners. It's worth to mention that in 2022, when the full-scale invasion of Ukraine started, that we were knocking all the doors in the UK, including MPs, ministers, and trying to create a program that will support Ukrainian founders in the UK, because UK has so many resources. It's a financial capital of the world, and basically UK-Ukraine Tech Bridge became the form of that cooperation. It has become a regular movement and project happening every single year, and embedded into 100-year partnership between the UK and Ukraine.
And it represents a huge opportunity, obviously, for Ukrainian tech companies to get into the UK, to build business here, to fundraise here. Because like back in the day, if we look 10, 15 years ago, the United States was always a default destination for the Ukrainian startups. But as the time went by, we just understand that Ukraine is one of the ecosystem that can hugely contribute to European sovereignty, sovereign tech sector, sovereign AI, sovereign security sector, sovereign defense tech, etc. And UK-Ukrainian relationship became one of the kind of symbols of this Europe-centric vision.
Yeah, it's worth saying that UK-Ukraine Tech Bridge had a few cohorts, and they were quite successful when it comes to fundraising, and all presented at London Tech Week. I think the most recent year gathered about 400 people to come and have a look at Ukrainian startups, the Ukrainian booth.
The first cohort fundraised more than 10 million in just the first year. The second cohort is still counting. Overall, this was not just about kind of making Ukrainian ecosystem visible. It is about effectively the results, and the goals of the program were to help startups fundraise, to make this kind of investment readiness program that would assist them in communications with investors, in investor relationships. And I think, the first two cohorts really succeeded doing that. And we managed to leverage this corridor as later a private fund as well, because a few of the future portfolio companies came out of the program, like Deus Robotics or Zebra AI, were a part of the first UK-Ukraine tech bridge cohorts. Not just the governments of UK and Ukraine were caring about Ukrainian startups on a global arena, but also a few corporations, and one of these corporations was Google, and we were lucky enough to become an operator for the Google for Startups Ukraine Support Fund in 2024. The idea was to back 100 Ukrainian startups with funding and connect them with Google's tech teams and Google business development teams for further collaboration, using of technology, of AI that Google provides, and help these startups use Google as a platform for their product building.
So it's worth saying that the Ukrainian ecosystem is quite vulnerable, but that's exactly when this fund came in, and we had a chance to screen over 2,500 applications, do 600 interviews, and basically then it got narrowed down to 98 checks in these companies. And it was a good collaboration with the Google team, because Michal and Mariama and also Timon, Oris, everyone was so supportive. We already have about 2.2x on when it comes to capital mobilization. Teams went out and raised 22.5 million after 10 million was spent on the portfolio. And so it's about value add. And value add is usually not the money, it's the resources that Google was providing, numerous events and summits where startups were seeing other venture capital firms, both in Warsaw and here in London. And it was super useful for teams to basically know each other, to make new people, to start talking to other funders, angels, VCs, etc. And maybe that's why the result shows. Yeah, bridge to scale.
This bridge to scale program had a goal of integrating Ukrainian startups into the European ecosystem, and I think this was the first program of a kind where we had more than 15 partner VCs, including Telia, Smok, Flyer One, many others, who backed us up with office hours, with consultations, with participation in a pitching session, giving startups feedback.
They could talk to them, have proper sit-downs. It really had a lot of influence on their final presentations and how they think about their companies.
Two of the startups, right after the program, they got funding from 500 Global and got into their program. This was the first truly European 1991 program that started online and then ended with a demo day in Warsaw with more than 200 people visiting the event. And this was a great experience.
Oh yeah, and now to the boring part, our day job. 1991 Ventures became the first Ukraine-focused fund in the UK, caring about strategic industries such as AI and infrastructure, cybersecurity, defense, and other things that 1991 learned across a decade, and the ones that the team got experienced in.
We are steadily investing into Ukrainian founders, as Denis is saying, mostly focusing on security issues of Europe. This has an underlying mission to connect the emerging startups of Ukraine and Eastern Europe with the UK ecosystem and capital, and help these startups use the UK as a launchpad for global expansion. We still operate as a bifold, having an office in London and in Kiev, and essentially connecting the startups that come out of the Acceleration program with some UK funding, and this creates the whole platform that on the one end helps us build a pipeline and proper relationships with the startups on the ground, and at the same time give them opportunity for global growth.
Since we've been for quite a while in London, we trade deals with larger venture capital funds and other institutions like investment banks, for example. And at the same time, there are a lot of new partners who we are working with. Like, for example, on the Ukrainian side, it's Brave One when it comes to defense, for example. 1991 Ventures does work with the community of Ukrainians, throwing annual events in London during London Tech Week every year, and supporting Ukrainian ecosystem so that even if 1991 Ventures does not invest, we always know who to introduce a great founder to.
So yeah, if you're looking for a proper UK connection and proper UK funding, please reach out.
And additionally, I want to say that we are super grateful to our LPs, because we started to receive support from family offices, then followed by fund to funds, but people like Vendrex and one of the oldest probably venture capital firms in the UK, Samos, a large family office, and as well as, for example, Accelerator One, which is a newly established fund of funds, German Austrian, and some individuals who supported us, like Christopher Fields and others. They're amazing people who believed in 1991 Ventures and supporting Ukraine through economic leverage. I think they will stay with us for quite a long time on this journey.
Right.